Hey everybody, welcome. We're going to get started with the very first step of creating cut files for mini albums. Again, I'm going to base this series of videos on a design by Tamara Merrill of Country Craft Creations. So in video 1 is the address for the tutorial for that, for her shop. Video 1 also provides kind of a cutting guide, and I will post the cutting guide I put together for her tutorial on my Facebook page. So let's get started. A couple of things. I'm not going to teach you all the in and outs of the Silhouette Studio software. I also tend to use a lot of hotkeys or shortcuts. I will try whenever possible to use the tool buttons, and you will learn each tool as we go through it. But when I teach the entire software from beginning to end, just my basic class, it's 3-hour classes for an 8-week period. So we're not doing all of that. We're going to focus just on creating the basic shapes today. You also need to know that almost everything in Studio you can do various ways. So if you already are familiar with Silhouette Studio and you see me do something, you go, well, I don't do it that way, I do it a different way, that's okay with me. For example, to open a new file, there's 3 ways to do it. If you like drop-down menus, you can click on File and you can click on New. That'll give you a new file. You also can click on the little menu here. That says New Drawing. That opens a new file. You also can use a hotkey, which is what I usually do, which on a Mac means you hold Command down and you hit the letter N. If you are on a PC, you simply hold your Control button down and hit the letter N. When you do that, you get a new work area, and this page setup opens up, and we can just turn that off. Okay, let's talk about our workspace. This white box here is a representation of the cutting mat and a 12 by 12 cutting area for the Silhouette Cameo. Since we're not going to cut anything, I'm not worried about that space so much, so I'm going to zoom out because we're going to create a lot of different pieces, and I'm going to stack them all up down here. That way all of my pieces stay in one file, and as I want to cut them, I can simply move them later up into the cut area if I'm going to cut on my Cameo. If I'm not going to cut on my Cameo, we'll do this at the very end. You can convert the file to an SVG, as I talked about in the first introductory file, and then you can load it into your Cricut or whatever you want to load it into. So let's get started creating our shapes. When you're cutting by hand, you cut either rectangles or squares, and then you manipulate them if you want to do other things with them, and that's exactly what we're going to do here. So let's create our first piece. Over on the left-hand side here is the tool that looks like a rectangle, because that's the last one. If you hover over the tools, you'll notice it says Drawing Tool, and these are your choices. We're going to come over here and we're going to click on Draw a Rectangle, because that's what we want to do. You'll notice your cursor turns into a plus sign. To draw, you're going to hold your left mouse button or click on your track bar and drag down into the right. And I don't really care what size you draw it, because we're going to put exact measurements in. So there's your rectangle. You just drew your first shape. Now we're going to come over here, and you see these 3 bars? That's the transform panel. So to open it, we're going to click on it, and this is what the transform panel gives us. It lets you align things. We're going to use that a lot. And it also lets you scale things. So you can change it on percentage, or what we're going to do is down here, we're going to put in specific dimensions. Okay? So for piece A, which is my front and back cover. We need this to be 6 1/8 by 8 inches. And we're going to apply that. Okay? And that is piece A. So let's put a label on that. We're going to come over here. We're going to pick the text. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to type the letter A. Okay? That may have been a little fast. Let me try that again. You're going to click on the letter A, which opens up the text tool. When you do that, your cursor turns into this weird little up and down line like a letter I. You're going to, or a crossbar, you're going to click, and you get a center emblem. You got a blinking cursor now. You probably have an arrow. There's a lot of stuff going on there, but that's okay. I'm going to hold down my shift key, type a capital A, and then click off to the side. Let me zoom in. Here, by the way, up here at the top is how you can zoom in and zoom out. We're going to zoom in. See my letter A? I want to make my label nice and big. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on that letter. I'm going to grab one of these corners. See, when I hover over it, I get a diagonal. Then I'm going to hold down my button on my cursor. And I'm going to drag, not my cursor, excuse me, on your mouse or your trackpad. I actually use a tablet, but you'll be using probably a cursor or a trackpad. And now let's make that look a little nicer. I want to keep this transform, so let's run this down here. But I want to color that letter in. So I'm going to see it looks like an artist palette. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to color that letter in A. And let's also change the line on that. Let's change that line color to no color. That's going to be this little like diamond in here. Okay? That way, I don't have anything distracting and I get a nice letter A. Okay, now I'm just going to move let's close this line style, and I'm just going to move this transform right back up here. And all you have to do to move these is you just drag them around. You just grab them at the corner, hold down your button on your mouse or your trackpad, and drag it around. So that's the first piece. The next piece I need, now my cutting guide is going to tell you we need 2, and we are going to need 2. But we're going to do some things with these shapes after we create them. So we want to start right now just by creating one of each of the shapes that we need. That's going to be our first step. So I want to copy both my letter and, well, I've got a couple of choices. I could come over here to my drawing tool, draw another rectangle, type my numbers in, then go to my text tool, type a letter B, then come over here and open my color, and then come over here and change my line because Silhouette's going to default all to red. I don't want to do that. I want to make this fast and easy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy my letter and my rectangle over to the right, a copy to the right of what I currently have. So how are we going to do that? That's easy. I'm going to hold my shift key down, come over here, I'm going to click on my A. See how I get a bounding box around that? And then I'm going to click on my letter B, or I'm sorry, on my shape. You'll notice I have a bounding box around both of them. They've both been selected. Again, you can do all kinds of things to copy it over. I'm going to show you the fastest way that I do it. On a Mac, you're going to hold down your Command key. On a Windows computer, you're going to hold down Control and hit your right arrow. Oops, my bad. Let's select both of those items again. Command or Control and your right arrow key. See how it copies over? Easy peasy. I'm going to hold my shift key down, hit my arrow a few times. Now I'm ready to create piece B. So let's change the label. How am I going to change the label? I'm going to select it and then double click on it. Backspace and type in the letter B. Okay? I need to change the size on B, and I need B to be, according to my cutting guide, I need it to be 1.5 by 6 1/8. Okay, perfect. Now we're going to do the same thing. Collect B and C, copy it over. I don't know why I keep saying the next letter. B in my shape. We're going to make this the letter C. And C is, oh wait, yep, C is 5 7/8 by 7 7/8. There's C. Guess what we're going to do? We're going to select both of those and we're going to copy them over. And we need the letter D, right? And the letter D is going to be 5 3/8. So it's going to be a little narrower. 5.375. But I want the height to stay the same, so I don't need to change that. Perfect. We're going to take that rectangle, the letter D. Guess what we're going to do? We're going to copy it to the right. And we're going to create letter E. And we're going to change the shape of E, or the size, to 6.375. Again, I want to keep it the same height. Okay. I'm then going to take E, copy it over, duh. Shift it over a little bit, move my screen over. We're going to change that E to an F. And we're going to change the size of our rectangle to 4 by 6 1/4. So 4 by 6 1/4. Okay. And then again, we're going to do that and copy it. You guys should be pros at that by now. We have the letter G that we want to size at 5.375 by 5.875. Now we're going to hit apply. That's G. And then our last piece is H. And we're going to copy that over. Okay. H. And H is 8.875. Okay. So now let me zoom out. Doesn't look like a whole lot yet, but what you have created is one of every single piece that you need to cut out to create the cover and all the interior pieces, C through H. Now, some of them we're going to need to cut more than once, and we'll talk about that. We also need to talk about score lines. We're going to talk about matting. We're going to talk about mitering. We're going to talk about tapering. So this is going to be the end of video 1, but before we do anything else, let's make sure to save our work so that we can come back with the next video and continue to work on it. To save in Silhouette, we're going to save it all as a studio file for now, and we're going to do a File, click on File, go to Save As. Now you have a choice to save it to your hard drive or your library. Just trust me. Ignore the built-in library in Silhouette. You'll thank me. And you want to save it directly to your hard drive. So hit Save to Hard Drive. And I'm going to create in my documents, I'm going to go ahead and create a new folder. Ozfolio Files. Okay, and I'm going to name this Cutting Guide file. Okay. And then you come over here and click OK. You guys save it however it saves on your windows if they're different. Be sure you know where you have saved it, and we will come back and reopen that file with the next video. Bye.